Greetings, travelers. In the beginning, there was nothing. And then, there was Monk. One monk only has 1/6 of the power of the true progenitor being. Part of a composition so powerful, saying its name out loud will get you hushed by librarians, and concerned mothers would cover their children's ears. A composition truly unrivaled, much like the power of the one true ring, that it had to get nerfed going into current expansion. But at least one monk is still pretty damn good. So welcome to the Brotherhood yet again. I have a funny habit of looking at some average damage numbers and thinking to myself how this all works logically. The Warrior of Light can put down their gun and fight with their bare hands and start doing more damage, and can only realistically start doing more damage than that by studying the blade or learning black magic. DPS numbers are subject to change. What I'm trying to say here is that the only way to play Monk is with the Emperor's new fist glamored, because a true monk doesn't need any handicaps to bludgeon their enemies to death. We're going to have to start on a journey of enlightenment. The art of meditation can be boiled down to a simple flowchart. If you are worried about something and you cannot control the outcome, simply don't worry about it. If you are worried about something and you can control the outcome, simply don't worry about it. While Monk has been known for being hard in the past, this is when I say that every job is easy if you don't want to be the best Monk player in the world and are okay with just being in the top 5% as your skill ceiling. I have a certain mentality when it comes to numbers with color. You know what they call a gray parser in an ultimate? A legend. Even Ben Franklin once said, "A gray in the clear is worth an infinite amount of golds that wiped." This is why I'm going to try to explain the core at a basic level and give you an idea of how to fit things together so that it is somewhat smooth. I will be upfront though, Monk is a little bit more flexible than it has been in the past, and the punishments for messing up are not even that ludicrous if you just want to be mediocre. Generic, this is not a leveling guide disclaimer. I will concede that Monk gets its capstone ability and its entire core rotation at level 60. And after you unlock Masterful Blitz, the job is pretty close to the same all the way through level 90. Kinda. The first and only rule of playing Monk is that Thunderclap is fucking amazing. It's a fast and responsive gap closer that is purely used for movement tech with no potency associated with it, allowing you to be a greedy bastard and simply dash to an ally that actually had to do the mechanic, as well as quickly get back on the boss at a moment's notice. It also only has 3 charges, and some people like to have a mouse over macro for it if you're into that sort of thing. Although as far as damage buttons go, I guess Monk has these fancy things called forms, but what this really means is that you have multiple choices for every combo action of your 3-hit combos. 3 of those choices are for AoE, and 6 of them are for single target. I am just going to focus on the core of single target for the time being. Your first choice is either going to be Dragon Kick or Boot Shine. Dragon Kick will make your fist turn to lead so that your next Boot Shine does more damage. So you want to use Dragon Kick to get the lead and fist buff, and then use Boot Shine to do more damage and lose the buff. Simply alternate them every other combo. Twin Snakes gives you a buff to do more damage, and True Strike just does damage. While the exact duration of the buff that you get from Twin Snakes is something that you could math out, I've done all the work for you, and you also want to alternate these 2 buttons every other combo. For your third combo hit, you can either apply a damage over time effect, or just do damage. You don't want to overwrite the dot too early, and this is when it gets pretty wild, pretty insane, pretty wacky. You have to use Demolish and then 2 Snap Punches, making your third button the only one that doesn't alternate every other combo, but changes every third combo. This step is so special that it is also the only step with positional requirements on it. Simply Demolish from the rear and Snap Punch from the flank. If you want to learn about the easiest way to hit positionals that nobody apparently understands, and thanks to everyone trying to move across the continent to hit positionals back to back, people will say that they're hard to hit when they really aren't. Watch my basics video at this timestamp. Now, since this isn't a perfectly symmetric rotation, it can take a little bit of practice to understand filler. God forbid that you hit a training dummy for like an hour tops to get the rhythm down. If you don't like the way that I personally describe things and want some easy to follow graphics, some super kind and super friendly people at a place named The Balance do have a resource that might be better suited to how you learn. I, however, simply feel drool sliding down my face as I press demolish when it has less than 5 seconds remaining. With the core out of the way, I'm going to explain the second core of this anime arc. Ah yes, but before I do that, let me tell you about today's sponsor. It's just me. I somehow haven't sold out yet. Feel free to help me out the easy way or the hard way. Thank you for your contribution to the 8-monk metagame, and may your brain stay smooth and shiny. So we need to explain your other core buttons, Masterful Blitz and Perfect Balance, which you do not unlock at the same time. Perfect Balance will make all of your buttons light up, and for the next 3 GCDs, you can press any combo action and receive the combo bonus. I swear that this isn't a samurai button. Now, depending on how many unique forms you went through during Perfect Balance, it will change what Masterful Blitz turns into. If you used only Oppu Oppu form for all 3 hits by using only Dragon Kicks and Boot Shines, for example, then Masterful Blitz will turn into a Dragon Ball move with an iconic name. Using the aptly named Elixir Field will open your Lunar Nandi. If you use all 3 forms, you get another move called Rising Phoenix Right. This move will open your Solar Nandi. And if you only use 2 forms, you get the Oops I Fucked Up button, which will give you a Lunar Nandi or a Solar Nandi if you already have a Lunar. You don't want to use this button, but if you fuck up, the game doesn't punish you as hard as Dark Souls, the only other game ever made. So to tell you the secret, if you need the Lunar Nandi, you use an Elixir Field by alternating Dragon Kicks and Boot Shines for your Perfect Balance, because Enhanced Boot Shine is still your strongest hitting regular combo GCD. If you need Solar, you're going to go through all 3 forms during Perfect Balance anyways, but you might get a little fancy with it and do something like Twin Snakes, Dragon Kick, and then Demolish, or Boot Shine, Demolish, and then Twin Snakes. This is definitely not exactly the same as performing a standard 3-hit combo part of the rotation, I swear. Immediately after pressing Masterful Blitz, no matter what version it was, you will get the Formless Fist buff, meaning that your next GCD will also get the combo bonus. Oh, it's beautiful. After going through Masterful Blitz twice, and you have both a Lunar and a Solar Nandi, and you use Perfect Balance, your next Masterful Blitz, regardless of the number of forms you went through, will be Tornado Phantom Rush, your hardest hitting single GCD. Since it technically doesn't matter what forms you use, it is once again optimal to use alternating Dragon Kicks and Boot Shines for Phantom Rush. You can hold up to 2 charges of Perfect Balance and you gain a charge every 40 seconds. Or in other words, you get 3 uses every 2 minutes. Or in other words, you get 2 uses of Masterful Blitz on even minutes and 1 use of Masterful Blitz on odd minutes. This will all make a little bit more sense when I go over an opener. Speaking of which, before you pull the boss, you want to use Meditate to get a free Forbidden Chakra, and also pre-pull with Form Shift to get the combo bonus on your very first GCD. That's it. Right as the battle begins, you want to rush to the boss with Thunderclap, and press Dragon Kick. This is when you can chug an inconspicuous concoction. Then press Twin Snakes and weave Riddle of Fire. Then use Demolish and weave the Forbidden Chakra. Press Boot Shine, and we do a legendary double weave with Perfect Balance and Brotherhood. While Perfect Balance is active for the next 3 GCDs, we press Dragon Kick and weave Riddle of Wind, then press Boot Shine, and then press Dragon Kick. And now we get to click Masterful Blitz, which will be Elixir Field. Afterwards, you will see everything light up and press Boot Shine. We then go into our second Perfect Balance by pressing Twin Snakes, then Dragon Kick, and then Demolish. You then press Masterful Blitz again, which will be Rising Phoenix. And now with everything lit up, the ultimate secret technique here is that you press Twin Snakes, even though you don't really need to refresh the buff and you'd probably rather hit an Oppu Oppu form anyways. But this is going to make everything line up better in the rotation. That little Twin Snakes right there is the only not so straightforward part of playing this job and practicing this opener. The other thing that doesn't really translate well when explaining this is that after you press Brotherhood, you're going to start gaining chakra gauge faster than you could probably handle. You're going to have to weave Forbidden Chakra a lot while Brotherhood is active, so good luck. But with those two things out of the way, I will explain the rest of the ideal average rotation. So after that opener, you simply perform the filler rotation for a bit that I described earlier. I should mention that this entire rotation is based around you having a recast time of 1.94 seconds at level 90. If things don't exactly line up completely perfectly, you might need some more or less skill speed. Now with that explanation out of the way, if you use Twin Snakes and understand the Forbidden Secret technique, you will then have Riddle of Fire come up again around 1 minute into combat. It should come up right after a use of Snap Punch, assuming that you didn't mess up any demolishes or drift your GCD, but I'm not going to tell anyone. After pressing Riddle of Fire, you then press 2 normal 3-button combos, with the second one ending with a Twin Snakes and a Demolish. You want to press the correct first button, and weave Perfect Balance, and then alternate Dragon Kicks and Boot Shines until you get to unleash Phantom Rush. And after the Phantom Rush, you either press Dragon Kick or Boot Shine again, and you're back into filler. The key things that you want to land in this odd minute Riddle of Fire are that Demolish and that Phantom Rush. If you did everything correctly, the very last GCD that you land in Riddle of Fire should be Phantom Rush. Now you're going back to your filler rotation again, except 2 minutes is about to come back up. This is the least straightforward part in my opinion, so pay a little bit attention. You are going to go through your filler rotation. Riddle of Fire will come up in about like 7 seconds. So for your 2 minute window, starting from a Snap Punch, you then press your first combo button and weave Perfect Balance. Press another Opu Opu button, and then weave Riddle of Fire. Then press Demolish, and then Twin Snakes. And weave Brotherhood and unleash Masterful Blitz. Now do another Dragon Kick or Boot Shine, weave Perfect Balance, and alternate Dragon Kicks and Boot Shines again to unleash another Masterful Blitz. And once again, after using our second Masterful Blitz in our 2 minute window, we use Twin Snakes again to make the rotation line up. The unintuitive part of your 2 minute burst window is that your first Perfect Balance usage is going to be used in the weaving window before Riddle of Fire. But once you get past that, it makes a lot more sense as you use 3 forms in one Perfect Balance and 1 form in the other Perfect Balance and end with Twin Snakes and go back into the rotation exactly the same way that you did with your opener and go back to your odd minute burst window. Assuming that there is no downtime, you can simply alternate your 1 minute and 2 minute burst phases like every other job in the game. The only difference being that the Monk opener is slightly different from the rest of the burst windows. Although all this stuff with the ideal rotation is a lot of technical mumbo-jumbo that has a couple of goals in mind. It's trying to prevent your Twin Snakes buff from falling off and also keeping Demolish rolling, while also being able to fit in all of your burst. But if you manage to fuck things up, the general goal is landing that Demolish and the 2 Masterful Blitz in a 2 minute raid buff window, and landing a Demolish and 1 Masterful Blitz in a 1 minute burst window. There is a surprising amount of wiggle room for how you can freestyle that. Although if you want to know exactly what you want to do for Rising Phoenix, the Masterful Blitz in the opener goes Twin Snakes, Dragon Kick, and then Demolish, whereas the Rising Phoenix outside of the opener goes Opu Opu button, Demolish, and then Twin Snakes. It's a bit of an information overload, but I will at least let you know what you're trying to practice. But even if you fuck it up a little bit, a standard 3-button combo during Perfect Balance for Rising Phoenix is barely going to make a difference. I have freestyled about 1 million burst windows at this point, and that's just because I suck. I had only one encounter that I recorded for this video where I was happy with my performance. But the reason why I say it's flexible is because of the nature of Perfect Balance. Even though I describe where you want to ideally line it up, since it just removes any and all combo requirements during its duration, you can quite literally use Perfect Balance when you are supposed to, regardless of where you are in your rotation, and do your burst phase from there and just force your rotation to line up again. You might end up missing a Twin Snakes buff for a couple of GCDs or have a suboptimal dot timing, but these are very small consequences in the grand scheme of things. It's also why if you end up missing a GCD due to something going wrong, you don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops to force your rotation back to what you are used to. You simply have to press perfect balance. I would describe this perfect balance recovery as very similar to recovery on Black Mage. You don't want to do this, but it's nice to know. Just don't make a habit of misaligning your rotation if you can avoid it. The last thing I forgot to mention at this point is your other DPS button, Riddle of Wind, which is on a 90-second timer. You simply want to press it on cooldown. It does do a solid amount of damage, even though auto attacks are not exactly the most visible thing that you can see in this game. It's a real flimsy feeling button that just kinda happens, but it does make you do more damage even if it doesn't have that appearance. If the boss decides to leave you alone on the side of the street, that is when you can use Meditate in combat to build up a free Forbidden Chakra. You also probably want to form shift before the boss comes back, and if you're feeling real crazy, you can even use Annotment to try to keep a Twin Snakes buff up. This is technically a damage gain of something like 4 potency. It's pretty meaningless, but it might make you get over the abandonment issues that the boss is causing you. There's even super spicy perfect balance downtime strats, but that's beyond the scope of being a mediocre monk. Finally, I will mention some other utility. Thunderclap is the best gap closer in the entire game, as I've already stated. However, if you find yourself in a situation where you need to leave melee range for the time equivalent of 2 GCDs, and Thunderclap can't help you greed that, that's when you want to use Six-Sided Star for fun. Or you can use it to time it as the very last GCD that you press in combat. Six-Sided Star is not going to be pressed very often, if at all. Mantra is a tool that gives your party a healing buff for 15 seconds. It's absolutely fantastic for tight healing segments to take that little bit of extra pressure off of your healers. Riddle of Earth is your personal mitigation button that reduces damage by 20%, and its duration is based on lasting for the next 3 GCDs. Yeah, that's definitely not a holdover from how this button worked previously. I mean, it just mitigates incoming damage and it doesn't remove positional requirements. I have no idea where you would get that notion from. And there are also all of your standard melee buttons that I'm not going to review in this video. You know, now that I think about it, I should probably mention AoE. AoE doesn't have you making a lot of choices since you're just mashing the same 3-button combo over and over again. At least your second AoE button gives you the Twin Snakes buff. But you do get to use Masterful Blitz to build up a Lunar Nandi by mashing Shadow of the Destroyer after level 82. Before you have that, you can mash Rockbreaker for Lunar Nandi for AoE instead. And for Solar Nandi, you simply press all 3 combo actions anyways. But I just want to be clear that all Masterful Blitz actions that aren't a mistake are also AoE. You can even use your DPS buffs in dungeons to make trash pulls faster and more efficient. Hell, I even recommend tossing out a mantra to help out since it's free. You even have an AoE Forbidden Chakra line attack. None of this is about being super optimal, but the general principles of AoE on Monk are not too complicated as they're pretty easy to understand if you can understand the single target rotation. I will just add one final segment here at the end. You've probably heard about this thing called the Double Solar Opener, which is a way to mix up your opener and burst windows so that Phantom Rush will line up with your 2-minute and every subsequent even minute raid buff window. This is something beyond the scope of what I will educate you on, but I will at least mention that Monk does have a ton of meaningless niche optimization if you're into that sort of thing. And you want a job that offers a high skill ceiling where a smooth brain player will simply crit and outperform you anyways. Just keep in mind that even if you know what the double solar rotation looks like, if you manage to kill the boss on an odd minute, not delaying Phantom Rush is going to be optimal anyways. Also, I can help you understand why you don't typically get to hit Phantom Rush inside of raid buffs. It's because 2 Masterful Blitz is greater than 1 Masterful Blitz, even if that 1 Masterful Blitz hits pretty hard. I might as well put my concluding thoughts at the end here. I think New Monk is pretty fun. It's way more entertaining than it's ever been in the past, where it had to crutch on putting positionals on every core GCD for it to be interesting at all. The AoE rotation actually feels like it has something to it, which even though it doesn't really mean anything in raids for the most part, it feels pretty good in casual content as well. After years of suffering, I think the job is in a good spot right now, having reached enlightenment, and it makes me happy to say that. I'm still not going to main it though. If you haven't given New Monk a try, you might be surprised how good it feels after level 60. Now let's get out there and get hyped up for 24-man Monk raids.